Good Monday morning. Welcome to Connect, the California MBA's weekly podcast featuring one-on-one interviews with movers and shakers in the mortgage industry. I'm Dustin Hobbs, Communications Director here at the California MBA. We've got a great guest today. I'm excited to get into the conversation with him, and he's got a sort of a unique perspective and outlook on the industry, and I think it'll be a fascinating conversation. So we'll get to that here in just a sec. But before we do, let's thank our sponsors over at Incelerate. Incelerate, the leading mortgage lead management, CRM, and engagement platform that helps lenders close more loans by increasing efficiency gains across sales, marketing, operations, and management. It's just recently announced the first of its kind mobile app. The groundbreaking mobile app features full lead management, lead distribution, click-to-call, inbound call routing, first call automation, and two-way compliant text messaging, and provides access to critical loan information without having to use a laptop or log in to their LOS system. It also empowers loan officers by intelligently distributing leads, managing pipelines, prioritizing their day, automating best practices, and personalizing the borrower's journey, all from the mobile app. So for more information or to catch a demo, visit incelerate.com, or you can actually call the number listed here in the description below. So before we get into the conversation here, let's toss it to Susan Milazzo, our CEO, for this week's weekly update. Susan?
Thank you, Dustin. And this is Susan with the California MBA here with your weekly video update. This week, I'd like to talk with you about our last two mortgage quality and compliance webinars for the year. On October 8th, we'll have a presentation on the CFPB's new interpretation of UDAP, and our presenters will be Lauren Frank and Sherry Safchuk with the Buckley Law Firm. On October 22nd, we will have a webinar that talks about the top policies and procedures that are missed or messed up and how to get them right. Our presenters for that presentation will be Michael Barone and Scott Weintraub with MQMR, Mortgage Quality Management and Research. So remember, these are free to anyone in the industry, and you're welcome to register and join us for those events. We also record them and make them available on our website. You can also visit our website to register for either of these webinars. That's it for this week. Back to you, Dustin.
All right, Susan, thanks. Good conference coming up here, our last of the year, actually, our legal issues and reg compliance conference here in December. So make sure and check our website for more information and details on that. All right, let's get into the conversation here. I'm excited to welcome Alex Kutsishin with Sales Boomerang. Alex is the co-founder, CEO, and Chief ROI Booster at Sales Boomerang. Alex, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Dustin.
Yeah, I think a long time coming here. You've been a big supporter and participant at our Mortgage Innovators Conference the last couple of years, and for whatever reason, just haven't had you on the podcast yet.
Yeah, I know, and it's truly one of my favorite events that I've ever been to. It was so fun the first time around, and then I think is there a digital one coming up?
No, we did ours was the one we just had a couple of weeks ago. That was all.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. See, look, and during this time when you're home all day, every day, it all seems the same. This is why you asked me earlier, like, how's your day? I'm like, it's going great, like every day, because they all feel the same.
Absolutely. Well, hey, let's jump into the conversation here. I'm curious. Let's start with your background. How'd you get started in the business? What led you to co-found Sales Boomerang?
So in business in general, or specifically Sales Boomerang, you want to hear some of the story beforehand?
What got you into the mortgage side of the business in general?
So look, what got me into this industry is what got me into business in the first place, and that is just the desire to build. Right, my personal mantra is to build a great team and to create an environment where people can grow and prosper. That's it. That's what motivates me in business in general. And so I've been saying this is my 7th company, but it's actually my 8th company. Somebody reminded me about a clothing line that we did for a while for the combat sport line. So in general, how I got into this particular business is I had sold my shares in my first software company, and I wanted to do something simple. I wanted to, first of all, my wife and I were starting a family, and I wanted to do something where I could be around the family and the kids and watch them grow up, because I used to watch these videos and on YouTube and in general interviews, or on Inc. or Washington Post, or interviewing these entrepreneurs or these successful CEOs, and when they get to the regret part of their life, they say, well, the only thing I regret is not being there for my kids at an early age. And I'm like, this is a consistent problem that I'm hearing. Like, everybody successful just doesn't see their kids. I don't understand. And so I had the ability to be home, build a business from home. And so I started consulting. So I was like, I can do that out of my house, started consulting. And one of my consulting gigs took me to a company by the name of Rain King, which is a business intelligence company. And I was brought in to basically help them increase growth. That's one of my gifts is impact marketing, impact growth. You know, you want to grow 5, 10, 15, 20% a year, not that interesting. You want to grow 100% or more, I'm your guy, right? And so I was helping them there, and then I got a call from a buddy of mine who we'd done business with before in my marketing company. We had done their branding and some marketing for their business, and he called, and he was going to invest into the software company I had. So he called me. His name is Ken Bartz. He's the founder of Monster Lead Group, which is the #1 mortgage marketing company through direct mail in the country. It's just brilliant. I think they're now averaging about 1 million pieces a week of mail. Remarkable, right? I mean, so it's an amazing feat. So anyway, they brought me in and said, hey, you know, work some of your technology and marketing magic here, help us improve our tech and all this good stuff. And at one point, they showed me a very interesting. So I've never seen the mortgage industry before. By the way, this is interesting, Dustin. Everything I know about the mortgage industry is the following. Before 2015, here's what I knew. I knew that you buy a house, which comes with a mortgage, right? You own that house until you sell the house. You then take the proceeds from the house you sold, you put it towards the down payment of your next house, and so on and so on. And at some point, you're in your forever home, and once you sell it, you can pocket that money, right? This is before I knew anything about reverse mortgages. This is before I knew anything. That's how I thought this went. I never knew that a house is a financial vehicle that you can do all kinds of fantastic things with. You can have a HELOC or some kind of line of credit. You can cash out. You can use the equity in your home to make investments and do all kinds of things, consolidate debt. Insane. Never knew this existed, right? So for me, the mortgage industry is one thing. You buy it, you sell it, you buy it, you sell it. That's it. So when I get into this consulting practice with Monster Lead Group, we were rebranding their website, and they put this interesting stat on screen. They said, we want this on front and center on our website. And it said in 2015, they had produced 212,000 unique phone calls for their mortgage lending clients. And that turned into about 19,000 mortgages. Now I looked at this and I was like, hold on a minute. Are we like really shouting and excited about 10% conversion, actually less? And they're like, yeah, that's a great thing in the mortgage industry. I'm like, okay, I'm confused because I just came from this technology space where, you know, we had instant conversion was around 30%, and then the long tail conversion could be as high as 70%. But here, 10% is like, hey, pop bottles, we're cheering, this is great, right? Like we're literally putting this on the front page of our website. Yeah, it's really good. This how. Okay, so what happened? That did loan, and they were like, you know, camera, and laugh. What happens? Nothing. I said, well, how are we going to get those people back to them, like back to that lender that wanted that lead? He's like, well, they're going to buy mail, we're going to send it, and then they're going to call, and the process begins again. And this is where I got lost, Dustin. I said, Ken, let me understand something. So I called Dustin. Dustin says, hey, Alex, I can help you get a mortgage. I say, you know what? I can't do it right now. Dustin says, great. And Dustin wants to solicit to me again, but he can't without sending me a letter that you have to send out. Why doesn't he just call me? And I get the same answer. Like, that's just not how it works, man. This is the industry.
Not how it's been done.
It's not how it's been done. And so, you know what? One of my mentors, a good teacher and good mentor, a good friend, said, when you hear this is how it is, this is how it is, this is how it is, too many times, there's an opportunity, right? If something hasn't been challenged, you know, Dyson has been built, its entire business was built on challenging exactly what's been in the market, right? The vacuum cleaner, nobody's thought about changing it, let's change it. The fan. I mean, what's wrong with a fan? Obviously, Dyson figured it out. Be like, you know what? We're gonna have no blades on this thing. Super safe, right? First time ever. So anyway, that's so taking that concept, you know, and asking those questions, coming to find out that this industry was just begging for evolution, not revolution, evolution. That's all. And so that's how I got into the space, Dustin. Ken then introduced me to one of his clients, and he said, hey, you're asking lots of good questions, but let's go right to the source. And we went and asked this lender to give us his turn down deals so we can analyze them. He sent them to us, coming to find out that 30% of his turn downs were ready to do a loan and he didn't even know about it. And that's it. Sales Boomerang was born.
Yeah.
And
So, I mean, you're kind of getting into it, but what was the specific problem? I guess maybe diving in a little deeper, the specific problem that you saw that needed fixing. Because I mean, obviously there's a lot of things in the industry that needed evolution and still need evolution, but
sure.
you obviously picked a specific problem.
So the specific problem that I found was very interesting is that there was no alignment. Okay. The lenders didn't have a rear view mirror. If they said no to you, or if you didn't fit into a deal today, maybe they dripped email on you, but their expectations of you coming back was very low to none, right? And so literally borrowers are being left behind, right? And so the problem we wanted to solve is to create this alignment. Like, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Lender, your borrower needs you. Like, there is not one human being that calls a mortgage professional to make a friend. Not one. There is a need, there's a pain or a desire, and to sort of ignore that and say, hey, since you're not ready to fit in a box right now because you don't have the right credit or equity or the rate, then we're going to drip email on you. And then when you hear something in that email that you like, make sure you call me, right? So you go to work for me now. I'm the lender and you work for me. When I send you, I say jump, you say how high. That's how it works, right? I'll send you messages, but you need to read them all because I know you will. You never ignore emails. And then you call me when you're ready for a loan, right? That's not how it works. Obviously, the case in point is 15% retention rate.
Or less conversion.
Well, yeah, and 10% or less conversion. Exactly right. So the issue that I discovered or I thought about was the misalignment. Like, just because a borrower is not ready to go today doesn't mean they're never ready to go. As a matter of fact, they are ready to go. They will go. The question is who's going to help them. And our opinion, our belief is that it should be the lender they spent the time talking to. So if I called you and I've spent time with you, then you should be the one to be there for me, right? Let's create an experience for a borrower. The borrower trusts the fact that the person they spoke to has their back, has their best interest in mind, and we'll reach out to them when they are qualified. Now, until this, what lenders used to do, some of the best producers used to do, is they'd have a box, literal box, or in their CRM, they'd make a note. They'd say, hey, Alex had a 532 FICO score. He needs to be at 620. Let's give him 4 months and we'll call him back, right? And so then they go, okay. Then they pick up the phone. They say, hey, Alex, how's it going? But the truth is, Alex doesn't know. Alex hasn't pulled his credit. He has no clue if he's qualified or not. So what we wanted to do is make the lender the expert, the advisor that they've claimed to be, right? Every lender, every loan officer says, I want to be your trusted advisor. Well, to advise means you have to have information to advise on. Until we started producing this, and obviously there's data out there, but until we start to package this up in a way, hey, be the advisor you've promised to be. But to advise means you must have information to advise on. Right now, everyone advises, you know how? They fish. Yeah. Hey, Dustin, tell me something about yourself. Things changed in your life? Oh, there you go. He's on the hook now, right? Instead, now, when we can deliver a piece of information about your borrower and say, hey, Dustin, your borrower has a ton of equity in their home. They also have $63,000 in credit card debt and more than $100,000 in tappable equity, and their FICO score is above 700. You could probably offer them some sort of cash out or a debt consolidation, help them out, lend a hand. Now you're truly advising. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Borrower, I'm giving you a call because what we found out is this is what's happening. And my advice would be the following. Instead of paying 23% on your credit card, pay 3.5% and pay down these debts, get your debt in order, or hey, remove your mortgage insurance or whatever it is. You're now qualified for a better rate because your credit score is above 750. Whatever it is, you're now actually advising rather than fishing. And consumers know, right? We know when somebody's fishing for information. We know when they're trying to, when we're being asked to be put in a box. And so that's not the approach.
Building that relationship there for life. I mean, it's not just then. I mean, if you're actually providing, useful information and advice.
Yes. And that's the goal. That's all we kind of desire, right? We humans have this thing where we want to follow the path of least resistance. That's just how we're wired, right? We're talking earlier about kids and girls and boys and how they're wired differently. We are wired to follow a path of least resistance. And in reality, the least resistance for a borrower is a lender that knows exactly when a borrower will benefit from a new financial vehicle. Because what is a loan? I've learned that a loan is just a financial vehicle, okay? And a loan officer is a guide, not a salesperson, just a guide. Like, hey, depending on what your desires are, depending on what your goals are for this home, for this loan, we will, let me guide you in the best way possible. And so what we wanted to think about, and as we do on a daily basis, how do we make the experience for the lender more, what's the best way to put it? More enjoyable, okay? Because right now, loan officers and lenders, they have to dig, they have to find out, they have to see what to do, when to do, how to say things. And so one of the most important things for us in saying that we believe borrowers can fall in love with the lending industry is making lenders and loan officers, the lending industry, fall in love with itself and be like, wow, I got this amazing tech that does this. I got this amazing Accelerate, right? I got an amazing CRM that will automate this thing for me and will drop things to my borrowers and to my loan officer, and the communication can begin. My loan officer could literally be at a closing, but because of the automation that's built into my system, I know it's going to touch my borrower a couple times before I get free, and when I free, I can do a physical touch as well. So these are all ways we can start to enjoy our business a little more. And I know it's kind of hard, when you think about it, it's like, enjoy what we do a little more. Yeah, think about ourselves at home, okay? You have a couch, and it's an old couch. You get a new couch. You're like, oh, this is great. You have a TV. It's an old TV. You get a smart TV. Oh, life just became better, became easier. That's how we look at business too. How do we make our careers a little bit more enjoyable? Because if you've heard this phrase, right? You've heard psychology about this, the phrase, you can only love yourself, love others as much as you love. Well, you expect people to enjoy working with you as much as you enjoy working inside the environment that you're in, right? If you hate it, you hate coming to work, you hate what you do, then you're going to pass that along. It's going to be felt. And some of the best, loan officers, originators, lenders out there make the environment for their team enjoyable. And so we just want to fit into that exact same stream. How do we make the experience for the lending community enjoyable so they can pass along that exact same experience to the borrower? And then in unity, there's some assignment and so it's kind of what we today, Dustin.
So I'm curious. You guys have obviously challenged some, some dogma in the industry and some long-held practices. What was the biggest challenge you saw when you started the business?
It's interesting. When you come up with a brand new category, which is borrower intelligence, and you talk to an industry that has on its own become the biggest industry in the world, how could anyone be doing anything wrong, which there is no right or wrong, if you will, when you're the biggest industry in the world? And so how do you tell someone to approach something differently, but really the same way? That's the interesting part. This is evolution, not revolution, right? It's not like, hey, we're going to have a robot powered by your thoughts. Well, that's pretty crazy, right? You got to learn how to control your thoughts to control the robot. That may be hard to learn. That may take a lot of time. This isn't like that. This is literally asking someone, would you like to know what's happening in your customer's life the moment they need you? It's all we want to know. The answer is yes. This works 100% of the time, right? But we had to get to that point. In 2017, this was just the thought. And so the biggest challenge that we found was, I heard from great advisors, including Ken and the people from Monster and some other folks from around the industry, that there's this real thing in the mortgage industry called the lazy loan officer. Like, that's a real thing. It's not a made up thing. Supposedly, and I had no clue, right? I'm just new to this industry, so I didn't know. Sure. And everyone said, be careful, because people don't really want to learn new things. They just kind of want to keep doing we talked about this path of least resistance. This is what works. And so the biggest challenge that we had to overcome was adoption and usage. Like, will people actually use this? And so the way we solve that challenge is by creating a frictionless experience where loan officers never have to log into Sales Boomerang. They never have to remember a password. They have to learn zero new technology, absolutely none, and get all the benefits of the program without having to learn anything new or do anything new, except for be human and be interested and be curious in the people in your database and the customers that you work with, and a desire to want to help them, right? So that was a huge challenge. The other challenge was to overcome the concept of the realtor is the most important person in a realtor loan officer relationship, where it was very confusing to me from the very start. Like, why would that even be a thought? Why are they more important than you, Mr. and Mrs. Lender? And everyone started to say, Alex, because they have the deals. And that confused me even more. Like, they have the deals? You mean they bring you guys signed contracts for a mortgage? Like, no, 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 no. They have people that are interested in buying a home. I said, okay, so they have opportunities for you. Yes, but they're the ones that bring them to us. Okay, and 100% of everything they bring closes. Like, no, no, some don't close. Okay, so more close or more don't close? No, more don't close than close. Okay, so actually they don't have the deals. They have opportunities, and at the end of the day, you end up having the deals. But nobody knew that, because what happens is if I give you 10 opportunities and one closes, that means 9 people, remember, 9 people still want a house. They didn't come to the realtor because they wanted to make a friend, just like nobody calls a mortgage company because they just want a friend. So I got 9 people in my database that actually want a home but didn't find it yet. And I, as a lender, have access to information that the realtor will never have access to, because they don't have the permissible purpose to know when a consumer has improved their credit or is shopping for a mortgage or anything to do with their current credit condition or their situation. But me as a lender, I do. So all of a sudden, we showed the lending industry that turning the tables, not in a bad way, not like, hey, I'm better than you, now you got to do what I say, but the other way. Like, we're a village, we're a team now, Mr. and Mrs. Realtor. Everyone you send to me, if they don't move forward today, we will track their progress, and the moment they're ready for that home, guess what? I'm referring that person back to you. And today, Dustin, literally, our lenders are referring more business to their realtor clients than the realtors are referring back to them. 10 times more. I don't even know the numbers of how many more, literally. And so what's happened now is you have this real, again, you hear me saying this a lot, alignment. We have alignment between borrowers and lenders. Now you have alignment between lenders and realtors, where it's like, hey, give me your database to manage, right? I'll help you out. We'll work through this together. This is a relationship. Any customer that we can help together, we'll help together. I'll refer them back to you, and you start to sell them the home, and I'll be there to do the loan. Let's really work together on the things that I can help you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it truly becomes a united front. And here's the best part. The biggest winner of that is the buyer, is the borrower, right? Because if all of a sudden I get sent to a lender that turns me down, oh, Alex, you got too bad of a FICO score, we can't get you this house. Now I'm mad at 2 people. I'm mad at the lender and I'm mad at the realtor. How dare you send me to someone that turned me down when neither of us had anything to do with it? It's on you. But now the message changes. It's okay, Mr. and Mrs. Borrower. This happens to 50% of the people that apply. It's okay. We're a smart lender, and we work with as a realtor, we work together. When your situation improves, you don't have to call us, we'll call you. But you don't want to go shopping around with other lenders, because your score will go down. Every time you get pulled and denied, your score goes down. So don't worry about that. We got your back. You may have a program, like a lot of lenders have programs to improve credit scores. A lot of realtors may have some programs too. Great, send them there, right? Give them as much support as you can, but guess what? You no longer have to guess when that score improves. You no longer have to wait for a credit repair company to go, they should probably bump up by 30 points in the next month. That's a guess. We will give you the, hey, they're there now. You're not, they say a month, well, it happened last week. So they're actually there already. Congratulations, call them up, get the process started. So those were the 2 biggest challenges. Adoption. Will people even want to use this? Do they understand the value, the benefit of it? And then the fear of relying on a realtor for everything, rather than taking the opportunities in your own hand and giving back to your realtor more than they've ever given back to you. And I really give the team a round of applause for making that happen. Like, we've accomplished solving both of those challenges, and it's been remarkable.
Yeah. Well, let's switch gears here a bit. I'm curious with this year's obviously been a challenging year in many ways. How are you guys as a company handling both the sort of the COVID situation and also the refi boom that's just kind of swallowed up everyone's time this year?
It's amazing. So it's been a wild year. This is why it's important to be flexible. It's important to be nimble and be ready to make moves quickly. I've seen the biggest companies in the country make moves quickly, or in the world, and I've seen some big companies that are just stalled out and haven't figured out how to get it done. I will say this: the mortgage industry deserves a real applause for how this industry has managed this situation that everyone's in. Truly fantastic. Honestly, I could not have imagined how quickly, and I'm talking about from the loan officers all the way to the regulators, right? Oh, you don't have digital sign mortgage opportunities in this state? Boom, that's changed, right? Like e-signatures, it went from nope, can't do it, to let's get it done, right? And these mobile notaries that can be like everything. everything went super fast to go to the next level because it was forced to. And I want to take this time to recognize that the regulators and everyone involved from state and federal level, how quickly everyone came together and wanted to make sure that we don't fall into the trap from previous experiences that this industry has been through, right? So how have we handled it? I think it's been amazing. We've continued to grow. We're going to hit our 100th lender this month. We've added 35 new lenders this year alone. Even through this time, we've been able to create products specifically for this period that we're in, and now they're going to be staple products. So when we found out that EPOs were a big issue in the mortgage industry, because this is now the 9th or the 8th rate drop just recently happened. But when we started working on this, there were 7 rate drops in 1 year. That's never happened in the history of the industry. Yeah. And so the person that got the loan in May saw what happened, and in July is getting another loan, and the lenders are losing money, losing commissions. They have to pay things out. So we launched this thing called EPO prevention. So we let lenders know when there is a potential early payoff that a borrower may have, and so we get them in front of that borrower as fast as possible to help save the deal. Even if they have to do a loan because the borrower wants to, at least they're not losing the loan and losing all of the commission. They'll get it back on the next loan, right? So, I'm very proud of the team, again, just for stepping up and seeing the opportunity. And I'm very proud and so grateful for our clients that are willing to share with us the pain they're going through and be like, man, if we could solve this, and trust us enough to come with us, to come to us with these concerns. So as an organization, we've done an amazing job moving to a virtual remote work environment, and we're going to stay this way. We're not going back to an office. We have an office if somebody wants to go work, but we're starting to hire across the country. We just brought somebody on from California. We're talking to somebody from Texas. We have somebody in North Carolina, New Jersey, Philadelphia. We're just hiring from all over the country, and it's been actually a really cool experience to see that happen. So I think COVID just gave us a chance to challenge ourselves and see if we can come out better on the other side. And so far, so good. So, obviously it's terrible, all the things that end up happening from, and we've been able to pivot quickly as well as many others in this industry. So it's been great.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of those things where, like you said, I mean, it's a very sad situation in many ways, but in other ways, I mean, it definitely forces everyone to think in different ways and accelerates some things that were already, some trends that were already happening. I mean, this remote work from home scenario was already sort of kind of inching along, but now it's, I mean, certainly it's here at this point. It's here. Yeah, there's no, and to your point, I mean, for a lot of companies, I think there's no going back. I mean, they like the way it is now. It works for them better this way. Their employees are happier. I mean, it's kind of a win-win.
Yes, I mean, this is truly like this, when we talk about challenges, there's a, world-round challenge or question about what is the work-life balance? And I think we've kind of found a lot of that right now. Is this work from home, but flexibility to go back to an office if you want, but work from home if you want, be able to be at the dinner table the minute you finish work, rather than having to be stuck in traffic to come back and miss things and miss your kids growing up and all this good stuff. So yeah, I think the work-life balance thing kind of gets solved for the most part too, as long as you're doing what you love. Then you really have that balance now. So I think that's another big thing that came from this.
Absolutely. So a question, I mean, you're right on the cutting edge, the bleeding edge of mortgage tech. And I'm curious, I mean, I've started to see less and less of them, but I mean, for a while there, we were seeing over and over again, and especially some of the trade magazines, you'd see articles about, LOs worried about automation. They're worried about being, automated out of existence. And, is this the death of the LO? So from your perspective, someone who's working in that automation side of the business, what should make an LO more excited than terrified about the future?
Yeah, I love that question. So I think automation is actually a good support system, human. And I think what you're going to see is be loan officers, that want to be lenders in space. They're going to be in the space, and they're going to be supported by technology. those that are in it just to make a few bucks, and maybe they'll stay, maybe they won't, they don't have the passion for it, and they're afraid to be replaced. Well, if you are afraid to be replaced because you don't have the, what's the best way to put it, the drive, the talent, the purpose in this space, then yeah, there's a chance you may be replaced by something, but it's really not by something, it's really by someone that is willing to use technology to support and augment some of the things they do, but not to replace themselves, right? So it's important to kind of look at this in a way where some people aren't really meant for this industry, and those are the people that won't be here as technology continues to evolve, because the person, I love this, and I'm going to go, this is a great big shout out and throw his name out there. Dave Savage says this all the time, and I repeat it everywhere. Loan officers won't be replaced by technology. They'll be replaced by loan officers using technology, right? So loan officers not using tech will be replaced by those that are using tech. So people aren't going away. Loan officers and originators in this industry are not going away. There is something to be said about this human interaction for a purchase like this. Now, it may look completely different because, for instance, you know, somebody like Sales Boomerang, working with Accelerate, working with Mortgage Coach, we all integrate together, right? And so all of a sudden you have a situation where you have an opportunity that comes into your system, and it's some sort of lead, and you talk to this person and you present them using this total cost analysis, what's best for them, but come to find out they're not qualified, right? They go into this tracking system, we send an alert, it then sends a message through Accelerate, this automated drop of voicemail, ringless voicemail, it sends them a text, maybe even pings them on social, say, hey, we can finally get you what you're looking for, right? And then the person that's using all these systems gets the loan done. Now, multiply that times 100. I have 100 opportunities like that. And I myself now can do that. Maybe I get myself an assistant, but here's somebody that's not using technology that's going, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Borrower, oh, you're not qualified? Okay, listen, I'll give you a call back when it's time. And then you call them back, and then they're like, I just took a loan yesterday with somebody that was using Mortgage Coach and Sales Boomerang and Accelerate, right? Like that's the difference. It's not that you will be replaced by a machine, you will be replaced by people that understand how to use technology to support and augment them. And actually, I think technology is going to create more jobs, right? I think the more we're able to produce, you're going to have support, a lot of support jobs, a lot of people hand-holding and coming up with unique help their borrowers to make feel more trustworthy. You're going to see a lot of loyalty programs for their borrowers where that doesn't really exist today, right? You're going to see this community type of selling in the mortgage industry, where it is realtor, it is lender, it is insurance, it is investor, and they're all there. There's a group of people, and it's like, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Borrower, when you do business with us, all these people come with this experience. You'll have access to insurance professionals, finance, like all of these people are here. Why? Because this financial vehicle, which is your house, which is this mortgage, is probably the largest asset you'll ever have to manage. And we want to make sure you're managing it properly so it becomes a profit center for you. It becomes an investment for you and not a cost and not debt, right? Because what is a mortgage? It's just debt, right? The American dream is buying debt, owning debt, not buying debt, owning debt. But you can actually turn that into something positive when you do this kind of community selling, which I believe is the next iteration of this industry.
Yeah, I mean, dive into that a little bit more. I think you're onto something there as far as, you know, what the borrower experience looks like here in 5 years.
Yeah. So I mean, that's, to me, I think that's a really good approach. That's a really good experience for the consumer and the lender too, right? So if you have this group, if you have this nice, unique group of professionals, and I don't know if it's the lender is bringing everyone together, or each individual loan officer, but I feel like you can then keep them in this village, right? Where the insurance person is talking to them, come to find out that they told the insurance person that they are switching jobs and have to move. Well, the insurance guy calls the lender and goes, hey, you remember Alex? He just told me that he's, you know, the reason he's talking to me about insurance is because he's planning to move. Did you know that? No. Okay, great. Hey, you're getting ready to move. Can we help you? Which state? Oh, you're moving to a state. You know what? We don't actually have a license there, but we have a great reference for you. Let me introduce you to this, right? And then it's exactly what the consumer wants. Like, I never have to think about it. I'm always going to have somebody that's going to take care of me. Let me live my life, you live your life, and we do this, you know, kind of in harmony. So that is maybe a utopian view of the mortgage industry, ultimately the future, the way we see it, is also about planning future loans and scheduling them ahead of time rather than waiting for something to happen, right? Not knowing. And that's really the biggest step that we're taking towards that future, is coming up with these prescriptive scenarios that a loan officer can share with a borrower the moment they do a deal. They can say, hey, your next best deals are 1, 2, 3. And when these things happen, I'm going to call you. And they're only for you. Dustin, I'm calling you for you. I'm not calling because of your neighbor. I'm not calling because of what's happening in the industry or what's happening in your state. Literally, this loan is for you, Dustin, because it's the best one for you. And that is how we also get ahead of this, what's the best way to put it? This unknown, right? This unknown of, I just did a loan. Is it the best loan for me? How long is it going to be the best loan? We don't know. So then everyone advertises, and we humans respond to those advertisements, and we go with the first lender we speak to 79% of the time, by the way, right? So it's like, how do we prevent loan officers from and borrowers from going, well, I can just go to the market anytime I want? No, it's probably better that you go to the lender that did your last loan, because they know the best one for you that's coming up, right? So that's kind of where our head's at right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, that certainly is a changing of the whole dynamic for the future. So that'll be curious. I'll be curious to see how that. Now you kind of put that in my head.
Well, let me tell you something, Dustin, on that topic. What happens when you have a system that can prescribe the best loans for each borrower is you actually have a workforce that's even, that's all equal, right? Right now you have what's called top producers. Now you'll still always have top producers because they'll just do things differently, which they should. They'll elevate the game. But here's what we can do right now with prescriptive scenarios, where literally you can say, hey, I want to do VA IRRRLs. How many VA IRRRL deals are in my database right now that I can do today? Right? And the system puts that together. Or it says, here are the next loans for your, what happens is every single person in your workforce, all your producers, are now an even playing. I was in the industry for 6 months. I kind of don't know what I can and can't do for people. The system notifies me the best loan. I understand what it is. I make the phone call. I'm now as creative and as knowledgeable as your top producer, who can come up with these creative loans. The system can come up with it too. And that goes back to the conversation. But Alex, isn't that replacing people? No, it's the exact opposite. We're actually going to be able to give more people more jobs to say, hey, make sure you understand the industry, make sure you understand the products. Our system will let you know the best time to contact somebody and with what, and make sure you just become friends with them and tell them about who we are as a company, what our beliefs are, why are we even in business, why do we want to help them, and why do we want them to be our client. That is where you can get sort of this really refreshing approach to the home buying and a refinance mortgage industry. So I just want to throw that.
I think you get acceleration of good to great with the loan officers,
yes.
And the younger loan officers really accelerating their development. So we got just another minute or so here. So I'm curious. You're one of the guys that I think in the industry that does a very good job of getting your brand out there, making sure that you're seen everywhere. Got a good following on LinkedIn. You've got your Bourbon and BS podcast, which I would recommend to everyone. It's always entertaining and informative. And so I'm curious, because I think a lot of people in the industry are very worried about, I need to be on social media more. I need to be more out there. I'm so overwhelmed. There's so much to do in my mind. I mean, there's so many different platforms. There's so many different opportunities. I don't know where to start. So from your perspective, someone who's kind of doing it right now, what would be your advice to a colleague who wants to jump in but just doesn't know where to start?
Yeah, so first of all, I would first find out if social media is for you as an individual. I personally don't believe in putting everyone in a box and saying, hey, you're in this box, everyone's doing social, so you should do social. If you don't do social, you fail. I don't believe that. I don't believe that for 1 minute. I believe everyone has a process to be successful and has a way that they can make their name known and recognized and memorable. And so social doesn't have to. Now, should you have a presence on social? Of course. But do you have to be on social? No. You don't have to be. But if you're choosing to be and you're saying, hey, I believe I can be a great communicator through social media, then jump into it head first. And here's my biggest advice for you. Follow this. Your heart. Just follow your heart. Bourbon and BS isn't something we came up with and hey, we were sitting in a lab and doing things and Bourbon and BS came out. No, I selfishly love talking to people. I just love hearing about people's stories. And I don't want to talk business all the time, but I'm so intrigued by the people in this industry that I would love for them to share some of their stories with me. And hey, why not? I kind of like drinking bourbon too. So you marry the two together. I love it. And you post it and people respond to it. Fantastic. I would do that even if it wasn't getting posted. Like that to me is just something I enjoy to do. So my advice for anyone thinking about doing anything on social or doing anything in general, make sure you find something you love to do, the way you love to do it. So let's assume, Raquel does this well with showing off some of her artwork and things like this. There's a lot of people that do it different ways. But if something you enjoy, let's say it's art, let's say it's cooking, let's say it's wine, let's say it's dog walking, let's say you're the best parent in the world and you've taught your kid how to speak 6 languages. I don't know. Whatever that is, if you feel like you can bring that together, because we all want to know the unique version of you, we can all sniff out. We can all sniff out fakers. This person is doing it just because somebody else is doing it. We can sniff it out. So just be yourself. Find a language, a message that comes directly from the heart that you feel works for you, and then expand on it, grow on it. Just get out there and start doing it. It's the best way I can say to do it. And then choose your platform. Obviously in business, LinkedIn is great, but there's other platforms too. It could be Facebook and LinkedIn. It could just be Facebook, it could be Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is. Once you've chosen, right? If I was a great dancer, which I may be, maybe I would just do my entire thing through TikTok, right? And then repost it in other places. But maybe I would use TikTok as my only form of communication because that's my thing, right? And so best advice, follow your heart, go with the message that makes you happy. And if it resonates with people, trust me, they'll respond.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I mean, particularly on being authentic and not trying to, copy anybody else or, and just like you said, and it even goes to the platform. I think that's an interesting take on that, because I think everyone kind of focuses on, well, I've got to be on LinkedIn, but I think you're right that if that's not the right platform for you and for your voice, then, find the right one. So really good advice. Hey, Alex. Oh, good.
I'll tell you a story. I might tell you 2, but I know we got to wrap this up, but I'll tell you one. I might make it into 2. So one story, there was a restaurant that opened in New York. This is a long time ago when taxi cabs were the biggest thing in New York City still, right? They kind of are, but not the same way, right? This is years and years ago. This is probably in the 90s. This guy opened up a restaurant and had no money left over after doing everything he needed to do, had no money left over for advertising, okay? Nothing. So what did he do? He became really creative. Now remember, to succeed, you got to advertise, you got to have radio, you got to have, no, you do not, right? So here's what this guy did. He printed up a bunch of coupons for a free meal, free sandwich, and he got in a taxi. He would hail a taxi and he'd say, I need you to go around the block. And the first taxi was like, go around the block? Yeah, I need you to go around the block. I'll pay you for it. Okay, fine. Taxi's like, fine. As he's going around the block, this guy's telling the entire menu to this person, and at the end gives a card that says a free sandwich. Gets out the next one, go around the block, boom, go around the block, boom. And just hundreds of taxis nonstop. So guess what happened? There would be 2 to 3 taxis deep in front of his restaurant all the time. Wow. And what did this taxi driver do when somebody got in his car and said, hey, where can I get a good sandwich? I can tell you. Yeah. Follow me, right? Or not follow me, you're already inside my car, right? And you pull up to this place. So he built his entire business, which became a huge success. It still is, I think, all from just taking a cab ride around the block and sharing the sandwich, the beautiful things that he sells, and then giving a card to the taxi driver to get a free sandwich. And guess what? It blew up. So he didn't have to do social, not that social was a big thing then, but my point is this: every single person he would have spoken to, an advertiser, a marketer, somebody that understands business, would be like, you gotta get a website, you gotta have a radio, you gotta have big ads, you're never gonna succeed without that. No, it's not true. You can succeed and do anything you want, any which way you want. Just do it fully, commit yourself, and find, now if it's not working, change what you're doing. Obviously that worked for him. So that's my whole point. It's like, look, there's no one way to be successful in social or in business or in anything you do.
Yeah, no, I think that's great advice. Hey, Alex, thanks again for joining us today. I think it's been a great conversation, some good takeaways, I think, for the audience. So appreciate it.
Dustin, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, and if you've enjoyed the conversation here, make sure and subscribe to us here on our YouTube channel. You can also listen to us on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And we'll be back again next Monday morning for another episode of Connect, and we'll see you then.